Racism. Over 8 years of the Obama administration, America saw political rhetoric invoke the term racism or racist aimed at conservatives so often that the idea appears now embedded completely in our culture. So much so that apparently all white Americans are considered racist without evidence otherwise, and our institutions are blamed for a systemic racism that goes so deep the left appears to believe that America as it exists today cannot possibly remain intact. Do we really need to destroy our nation's institutions to eliminate these accusations? Apparently, a lot of folks think so. Just ask Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez and her boyfriend. Ladies and gentlemen, stick with us. It's going to be a wild ride on the Rob Maness Show. Over 8 years of the Obama administration and the first 3 years of the Trump administration, America saw political rhetoric invoke the term racism or racist aimed at conservatives so often that the idea appears now embedded completely in our culture. So much so, ladies and gentlemen, it may even be safe to say that all white Americans are considered racist without evidence. And our institutions are blamed for a systemic racism that goes so deep the left appears to believe that America as it exists today cannot possibly remain intact. Do we really need to destroy our nation's institutions to eliminate these accusations? Apparently, a lot of folks think so. Just ask Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez and her boyfriend, Riley Roberts. AOC had her boyfriend on an Instagram live chat session to school us all on how to fight racism as white people. Riley told us, quote, "I think it's helpful and important to talk to other white people about racism, and I think a lot of people, they don't want to be racist," end quote. Almost right, but not quite, Riley. The fact is, most Americans are not racist. Not just that they don't think so or don't want to be. But Riley wasn't finished. He went on to say, quote, "They don't think that they're racist, but they also don't know some of the things that they believe or say are and can be racist," end quote. But what did that mean? What are white folks saying that they don't know are racist? Riley doesn't let us in on that secret, but he does add, quote, "One of the effective ways is just to talk and kind of help teach them about why some of the things they believe or say or think are wrong. Not necessarily racist, but that they're just wrong. And that will sort of chip away and, contribute to some development in this area." Wow, Riley. So we're not really racist, we're just wrong. We're wrong because we're so poorly educated. But wait, we're not smart enough to know we're not racist after one conversation? Riley doesn't think we're smart enough, but if he talks with us enough, we can become not a racist, but not necessarily take from somebody from being a racist to not being a racist in one conversation, end quote. As if this wasn't insulting enough and offensive, AOC herself jumps in to say, and I quote, "It's just always being open to learning about racist things that we may have said or done without judgment or defensiveness," end quote. Well, that makes me feel better that I shouldn't be defensive after I've spent a lifetime not being a racist and showing it in my personal and professional life. I know. It's because our country was founded on racism, so we have to blow it all up and follow something else, right? That's what the New York Times Magazine is pushing with its 1619 project, isn't it? That slavery and racism are so embedded in the country that lifted more people out of poverty than any system of government in human history. We're never overcoming it without destroying the United States of America as a constitutional republic and establishing a new country based on their views. The 1619 Project is not a bad idea. Academic works to expand and improve knowledge of history is a good thing. However, the project's author says the country was founded and the American Revolution fought to protect slavery as abolitionist feelings rose in Britain instead of to protect liberty and bring about a free society not beholden to elites like the King of England. That idea is preposterous, as the revolution was sparked in New England much more than it was in the deep southern colonies. New England, where pre-war anti-slavery sentiment was strongest. Early patriots like James Otis, John Adams, and Thomas Paine were opposed to slavery completely, and the revolution helped fuel abolitionism in the North, according to Jake Silverstein, editor of the Times Magazine. But the worst part about the 1619 Project is that it argues that a majority of white people in America today have not abandoned racism to work towards a more perfect union in spite of these facts. 620,000 Americans killed each other in a civil war to end slavery. A more than 100-year effort to remove racist laws that even the U.S. Supreme Court erroneously said were legal. Citizens, and that today aggressively take on even the smallest percentage of the population that might be white supremacists. To help us make some sense of these preposterous ideas is a man from the America's new generation, and who has a great brand new show on lifeset.com, Mr. Benji Irby, host of Unpopular Opinion with Benji Irby on Lifeset. Benji Irby, thank you so much for coming on to the Rob Maness Show, and welcome. Our viewers are going to be excited to hear from you, as you are the host of Unpopular Opinion on Lifeset. Tell us about your new show.
Yes, I am the new kid on the block here on LifeZet. I host a show called Unpopular Opinion with Benji Irby, in which I share my unpopular opinions. They actually are more popular than people think. They're just the ones that the media doesn't let you say. But yes, I do share on the show. We are a very fun show. We are an irreverent show. We are a Trump-loving but truth-telling show. So I'm glad to be here on LifeSet. I'm honored and esteemed to be here amongst you and Wayne Dupree and my friend Carl Higbee and Stacey Washington and everybody here at LifeSet. I'm just really, really just happy to be here.
Well, we're excited to be part of the same team, and welcome to that team. But I'm also excited to get you on my show because this last week we've had a lot of stuff going on in the media as usual. But our friend Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, a.k.a. AOC, and her boyfriend, Riley Roberts, got on an Instagram video, and she had Riley tell us all, us being us white people, I think, maybe just everybody, I don't know, but tell us all, how do you talk to white people about racism? How do you combat racism amongst your white peers, Riley? And Riley is a red-headed Irishman with blue eyes, I believe. So he started talking, and one of the things he said was, well, I think it's helpful and important to talk to other white people about racism. And I think a lot of people, well, they don't want to be racist. Well, my view on that when I heard that was, let me correct you there, Riley. Most Americans are not racist. There's a very small percentage of this problem that's still out there, but most of us don't care about the color of somebody's skin. Your thoughts on that? As a young man that's coming up and is out in the world talking about different ideas?
I mean, I'd say that most Republicans aren't racist, but 100% of Democrats are racist. They're the party of race. Everything they talk about is race and color. And I mean, you have people like Ayanna Pressley from the ALC +3 crew who says, you can't be a black face without being a black voice, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So everything with them is race. So I'm not shocked. I did see the video on Twitter of AOC and her, self-flagellating white boyfriend. I personally thought that AOC's boyfriend was Chakrabarti, the Indian guy who was the marionette puppet master of our whole campaign and the Green New Deal and everything else. So I was actually surprised to see this guy. But I mean, he's there and he's saying that, oh, this is how you talk to white people about not being racist. It just all seems to be very very disingenuous, and also it's a reminder of what AOC and Bernie Sanders and that clique tends to do. I mean, they want to do a total re-education of the American public. So when I saw the little talking points that she had, I just feel like it's almost like it's the prelude to the gulags. So I'm not surprised. I mean, it's just more self-flagellating white people wokey foolishness, and the wokies won't be happy until white people are talking about how horrible they are. I actually saw another video the other day. Reminds me of a video that went viral of these white people like kissing the feet of like these black Israelites on the street. I guess in a way to make racial parody. It's just a bit disgusting, and it's pandering at its at his worst way. And I mean, I feel bad for the boyfriend. He looked like he was, taping a hostage video. God forbid he makes AOC mad. No nookie for him. So.
Makes you wonder what kind of weapon they had that were brandishing off camera to keep him on the straight and narrow. But he did come to his second point. He goes, I really don't think they think they're racist. They really don't think they're racist. And he basically implied they don't know that some of the things they say every day and think are racist because they don't know it. Like we're so dumb. Now, take me for instance. I was born in 1961, grew up in the 60s, 70s in a military family. We're colorblind. We grew up that way, my brothers and I. But we came back after my dad retired in the early 70s and saw real America in the South where he and my mom were from. And you could see the vestiges of that kind of stuff going on in the South, especially. But we've also seen massive moves forward in the last 2 decades, especially on how people deal with each other and how really, I mean, we just think about folks as folks that
Yeah.
want to do good and they want to succeed. And we're smart enough to know that we don't want that stuff from our past history. It was not the right thing to do, right?
Right. Well, I feel like we can definitely keep moving forward, but unfortunately, the Democrats, they can't get any electoral power without concentrating on the past. Every conversation with them is, slavery, reparations, and they have to bring up and dredge up all of this like old slavery narrative stuff because they have nothing else to run on. They're the party of race. Like the worst thing for the Democrat establishment to ever wake up one day and find that America is like racially united and that we all see each other, for the content of our character beyond the color of our skin, that, Al Sharpton would have a job. What would he do? What would Jesse Jackson do? These people be unemployed. So I mean, so there's no way they're ever going to let that narrative go. In my outreach to black voters and voters in general is I'm always looking for what's the future of Black America. Are we going to sit here and be talking about reparations and white supremacy, this neo-white supremacy everybody's so concerned about in the year 2120? I would hope I'm not. I mean, Lord knows, if I'm dead in the year 2120, I'm going to be doing somersaults in my grave if this is what we're still talking about. This is still our national conversation. I think that it's time for Black people and every people of this country to be able to move forward and build a future for ourselves and not harp on the past and racist and whatever, because whoever the racists are, they're not the majority of our country. I mean, remember, our country elected Barack Obama, the black-ish, black-looking first quote-unquote black president, and he didn't do that without getting a whole bunch of white support. And a lot of that support, 200 counties of that support, were from President Trump, who's also not racist. So, there you go.
Look, I didn't vote for Mr. Obama, but when he was elected, I was very grateful that I was an American citizen and that our country had been able to accomplish that, because that was a great accomplishment, in my opinion, because we surpassed and went beyond what you and I have been talking about, this race issue that the left likes to talk about because it gets them votes. It seems as the rest of us are left out in the cold thinking, well, what are you focused on this for? Let's focus on what works to help people have better lives and all that. And I'm hearing that Trump has got like 30% plus of the potential black vote out there in polling. Are you seeing the same thing?
Yeah, this is the thing about those polls. And one thing I will say before I even get onto that point as far as President Obama, I actually believe, especially now in talking to a lot more conservative white people, because I really didn't know any in 2008 when I originally voted for Obama. A lot of them, even the conservatives and even other white people who are liberals, they voted for Obama in that they thought that, okay, this racial crap is over. We have a black president. 'Cause that's what I thought growing up as a kid. Okay, we get a black president, this whole racial crap is going to be over. But then you have that same black president pushing that racial narrative because, end of the day, politically, Democrats need that to succeed. They can't succeed without racism. It was really crazy. I remember seeing the end of Obama around like in the end of 2016 when he did an interview. I think it was on CNN, and he's talking about, the vestiges of white supremacy and also the crap. And it's like, hello, like you, the supposed black man, were the most powerful man, not black man, not white man, not any like man in the whole entire world, powerful than any white man anywhere on the entire planet. Yet you're still talking about white supremacy. It's such bullcrap. And I'm so glad that black people are starting to see it. It's about time that we stop waiting for the Democrat Party to do something for us and we get up and do it for ourselves and get strategic politically. And we may have to start voting on the other side, possibly. I'm seeing more and more black people doing that. People don't even support Trump, are thinking like the Democrats have just gone so far with the racial crap and with the lies and the foolishness that they're just going to say, either I'm going to sit at home or vote out of Trump for spite. So the revolution's happening. 30% is a bit much, but I would say, being a little bit more shrewd, I'd say Trump got 8% last time. He still didn't get as much as Romney. If you look at the black male vote, Trump got 8% altogether and 13% of black males, and the bridge to conservatism into black community is through black men. But Romney got 21% of black men. So there's definitely a place to improve. They definitely did hit Trump a lot with the racial stuff during the campaign. I think that did ding him, which is why I say that we need to concentrate on racism very, very much so in 2020. And as I've said many times before, the 3 attacks against Trump are the 3 R's: Russia, rapist, racist. And because the other 2 aren't working, they're going to go for the racism extremely, extremely hard coming up for 2020. So there's a lot that we have to do about that. I'd say in the election, though, I do think that the black support for Trump getting a little bit bigger is real. I wouldn't say 30%. 30% would be a lot, but I'd say if Trump could at least get 12 to 15%, that would be like amazing. If he got over 20%, then that'd just be in the Democratic Party altogether. Like the party itself would have to disband if he got more than 20%, because they really would not have enough electoral coverage to cover the whole country. I'd love 20, but I'm thinking Trump could probably get 12 to 15, being a little bit more shrewd, hoping more so a 15.
Well, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm a skeptic on standard polling processes, procedures, and the data that comes out of them. I don't really believe any of them, but on occasion they do pull it out and are coming out right. So we'll see what happens. They've been right so far in the current situation, but you're right. They're going full on the racism thing, Benji. The New York Times Magazine put their project out late last year, the 1619 Project, which basically says America was founded to protect slavery, and that it's very possible that the majority of white Americans aren't really willing to work together and form a more perfect union. They really just want to have white supremacy, and that all of our institutions really should be destroyed and then rebuild from the ground up. I mean, this kind of racist attack on the entire population of people that are not of color, and some that are of color, like you, who happens to be a Trump supporter, they're going to attack you for it and say you're racist too. But they're trying to say, and even teaching this in schools in American history, that the country wasn't founded on liberty, the idea of liberty for all eventually. It was founded to protect slavery, and that belies all the facts, like 620,000 Americans that killed each other really massively in the Civil War to end slavery. The Supreme Court having to eat crow and say that it was wrong for almost 100 years in Jim Crow law and segregationist law when we finally overturned that. And then all the kids and middle-class Americans that voted for Barack Obama. It's incredible that they're going to go this far, but they are. They've gone there. And what can we expect over the last 9 months of this current presidential campaign? What do you think they're going to do to continue to push this narrative?
I mean, all kinds of racial crap. I mean, I just find it so odd that they talk about how America. The Pilgrims, the Puritans, our founders, they went across the sea, founded a whole country off of slavery. Like, if they want to do that, why can't they just take over Africa and just stay there? Like, why would you do? Like, it makes no sense. And the fact is that the first 2 countries to abolish slavery were the UK, our mother country, and us here in the U.S. The only country right now, currently in 2020, that even have slavery. They're in Africa, and they're African enslaving other Africans, and Arabians enslaving other Africans. But it's funny how you don't hear anything about that. This is just so ridiculous, and I really hate the fact that there are so many people of color, and a lot of white people too, who fall for a lot of this crap. It's literal crap. If you were able to even just do a Wikipedia search, you'll see a lot of this stuff just makes absolutely no sense. And the fact that they're doing everything with a racial narrative. And one of the reasons why I can't be a Democrat anymore, no matter what people say about me and whatever horrible names people call me, is I'm not going to be talked to only in racial terms. It's like every other person in this country, every other group, white people, Asian people, Hispanic people, they can get talked to about the economy and jobs and whatever. But me, we got to be talking about, racism and coons and slavery and white supremacy. And I'm just sick of that narrative. I'm a black native New Yorker. I've never seen a KKK person in my entire life. I dare a racist white person do something to me, I dare them. I'll whoop their ass like anyone else. Like, I'm just not walking around here afraid of this white supremacy boogeyman. It's a shame that there's millions of black Americans who are under that spell, but they're going to do it because it's what gets them elected. And they use that black narrative, that slavery narrative, to import in millions of illegal immigrants. Because if you say something about them, oh, they're the brown people. Notice we didn't have brown people in the 90s and the 80s. This is a new thing they made up. So now it's like this black and brown coalition. Let's use the black struggle to get a whole bunch of brown people in, quote unquote, this thing they made up 5 seconds ago in order to tip the scales electorally, to be able to get, for them to be able to win seats. They know they're losing regular Americans. They're even losing some black people. So we're not as dependable voters as we used to be, because we don't like to, a lot of us only like to vote for black candidates, people who are saying things to the black community. So we're not as dependable as these new illegal immigrants they're having coming in and giving illegal licenses to in New York and New Jersey and all of our country. So I mean, that's all they're going to do. They're going to continue more racial stuff, more Trump is racist. But if you want the facts, I have a video that I did, a 20-minute video on YouTube. You can go to my website at benjiirby.com and go straight to the video and my YouTube channel. It's called Donald Trump is Not a Racist, and I have the receipts to prove it. And it's literally 20 minutes. Or you can find it on my Twitter. If you search my Twitter, it's a straight 10 part video on Twitter that breaks down all the receipts, all the video, showing you all these things in the media saying are lies. And that's what it's going to take to really just snap people out of this racial narrative garbage that's trying to put a hold on everyone. I'm just sick of it. I'm just sick of it and sick of the Democrats for it. It's tired of it. It needs to stop.
Yeah, and it hurts communities all over America.
Yeah.
One of the communities that just I'm heartbroken about them almost daily when I see the numbers coming out of places like Chicago and New Orleans here, close to my own town here north of Lake Pontchartrain, and I see African American communities getting decimated by places where policing is not that good. Gun crime is rampant. With illegal guns, and nobody wants to talk about the solutions that need to happen besides
Right.
the talking point of trying to restrict law-abiding citizens' gun rights and things like that. Now they even want to talk about restricting your freedom of speech and assembly rights instead of addressing the issues. And the issues are the number one thing that Mr. Trump is being successful at: poverty and lower level economic wages increasing. Those two things, those talking points should be the lead in every Trump, every Republican, and every surrogate speech, that what the African American unemployment rate is, what the wage increase is at the lower end of the economic spectrum, and then go from there, because he's going to have to get out and be on offense. And it's not just him. As he said, they're not just after him, they're after all of us. And all of us who dare to say, no, your leftism is wrong, it doesn't work for the United States, here's what is working, and get that message across. How do you think younger folks need to be addressed in the system? In the Republican Party, we have a big issue with getting the young folks that even sign up for the Republican Party or that are in conservatism to the polls, as much as the left is successful at that. What are your thoughts on that issue?
Well, one thing, as far as solutions go, Democrat parties don't want solutions for black people, because if there was solution for black people, we would have no reason to vote for them. You have to think about it. The Democrat Party, the CBC, is a whole bunch of relics from the civil rights era. All they know is a march. All they know is a struggle. We got to struggle. We've got to march. And it's like the whole point of the marching and the struggling was to get you idiots in Congress. You could actually do something. But instead of them actually doing something, they can just go the march and the struggle now. That's what we're going to do. But as far as young people concerned with the Republican Party, I saw something today I thought was pretty concerning. If we're going to attract more young people, we have to start being more pragmatic. And I know that there are a lot of Christian social conservatives in Republican Party, and I totally get it. Like I totally get it. Leviticus 18:22, things like that. As far as the homosexuality is concerned, I speak about that directly because there was a story where the Texas GOP is not letting the log cabin Republicans of Texas have a booth at the state convention, and it's like, why are you now handing the CNN and the left a talking point to say that Republicans are homophobic, which is ridiculous. Like they're not coming here to try to put on, chaps and have like a whole gay parade. Like they are Republicans who are conservative, who obviously respect Christian values because they're voting Republican. They should be able to assemble at the GOP convention. So it's just little things like that that I worry about where we're stepping on our own feet. And trying to reach young people. And I tell Christian conservatives, I had a good argument with on Twitter today, and I just say, end of the day, I understand you don't like homosexuality, Leviticus 18:28, Leviticus 18:21, Romans 1:26, we get all the scriptures, totally get it. However, a vote's a vote. And either you can get with the gay people that support you and that support and respect your Christian views and win elections, or you can sit around and put around this Christianity purity test and be defeated by the gays who don't. It's very simple, guys. It's really simple thing. So I think for that, we've got to employ way more pragmatism in the Republican Party. There are new people coming in. Trump himself, who is no angel, Christians, is bringing in, a lot of black people, gay people, Hispanic people, people who have never thought about being Republicans before. And we're all, pragmatic. We all love our country. We're all not trying to change or put our views out on anyone else like the Democrats do. But we have to find a way to come together pragmatically. So I would say that's what we have to do to get young people. We have to start getting in people in the party and welcoming in people in the party that aren't the establishment, that aren't what the Republican Party is used to, because the Republican Party under Trump is not the same party underneath Romney or Bush or anyone else. We're a whole new party moving forward, and if those people can't get with Trump and all the people that have issues with him, they're all falling on the wayside. So I think that we're doing well, but just little things like that we can't get caught up in, little foolishness like that.
Yeah, I don't know that that's a little thing. I mean, I saw it too, Benji, and I tweeted about it today. Dan Crenshaw, from a representative from Texas, was supportive of the group being able to be on the floor of the convention and be part of the Republican organization in Texas. I was disappointed to see that they didn't allow that. I'm a liberty guy and been in the Republican Party most of my life, but we're supposed to be about freedom and liberty. Just because I might not be for gay marriage doesn't mean that I hate people that are gay, even though I don't agree with their lifestyle. That's what Christianity is all about too. It's not tolerance, but being loving in opposing something instead of being aggressive and hating and trying to kill people, is what some of the left tries to say. And these guys over in Texas, unfortunately, as you pointed out, just gave them a talking point on the other side, because they'll do the same thing with that they do with the racism shout. It's, homophobic haters. They go out and kill gay people and transgender people and all that. And that's just not true. Unfortunately, we do have some very strong opinions in the Republican Party, just like in the Democrat Party. They have a problem with pro-life folks. Over in the Democrat Party, and not being tolerant of having pro-life Democrats in their party. And that's why a lot of people are leaving the party.
Yeah, I look at it this way. Do you want Trump to win or not? Period.
Exactly.
Do you want him to win or what?
We want him to win, if you really want to see what he does for folks, take a look around and take a real serious look at who he's appointed to be the ambassador to Germany, Rick Grinnell, who he is nominated to other positions, like Dr. Carson being nominated to be the HUD secretary, and those kind of folks. And the man believes in success, and he wants the people that will be successful for all Americans. I believe that's what I've seen. I mean, he's won me over completely in that regard. I can't imagine voting for anybody else in the Republican primary, and I just re-signed up for the Republican Party because I left it a few months ago. To just so I could vote for Trump in the primary.
Good. I mean, so are they doing a primary? I didn't know they were doing a primary. They're doing a primary?
Every state's got their own system, and here in Louisiana, we'll be doing a primary in March, I believe it is.
I mean, I don't know if they're even doing one here in New York. I mean, does it really matter?
Even in Iowa, the Republicans knew how to count their votes. They actually had a caucus. Republican caucus there, had about 32,000 folks show up, and they counted their votes and had their tallies out within an hour of the polls closing. Well, thanks for coming on, Benji. We appreciate it. We'll stay in touch, and I'll have you on again, and we can talk some more about the presidential race going down the road.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Well, we're thankful that Benji Irby had time to come spend it with us on the Rob Maness Show to talk about these critical issues that faces future generations of America. And really, my generations are almost over, but Benji's are just coming up, and we're excited to see young people that believe in the values and principles of the United States of America and how it was founded, regardless of all the crazy racist rhetoric that's out there, and that are willing to fight against those ideas and protect their country. Until next week, this is the Rob Maness Show.